Hello and welcome back to the Realty Funnels Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Cahill, and I'm delighted today to welcome Jennifer Staats. She is a visionary in the real estate industry and in the prop tech spaces, and she is working on some amazing projects that we're going to talk about today. Jennifer, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Well, I'm excited to talk with you and learn more about all the cool stuff that you're doing. You're working on a CRM system called SureSend. You have a real estate brokerage, which is quickly going national. That's Easy Home Search. This is some cool stuff that you're working on. Why don't you just start off, though, by giving everyone a little bit of a sense of who you are, where you are, and what you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, my name is Jennifer. I have been in the real estate space for about 17 years now. I started a real estate operations company about 9 years ago when I started having kids and I wanted a little bit more flexibility. And that transitioned into, and it really hasn't transitioned, the company's still going, but now I'm the chief of staff of SureSend and Easy Home Search. I've been working in that role in a fractional capacity for the last couple of years. And then as of January 1st, I took a full-time position as their chief of staff. Easy Home Search is a real estate portal. We sell entire counties to our real estate partners. And then in January, we launched a CRM called SureSend. In my personal time, I live and work here out of a little farm, like goats and chickens and bunnies and stuff outside. And I have 2 young girls.
And you're in the Colorado Springs area.
I am, yeah. Originally from California, but now we landed in Colorado Springs and we wish we had done it sooner.
It's a beautiful area there. I mean, you're right there at the foothills. You're looking at the Rockies. You're just a short drive to some beautiful parts of our country.
Yeah, we love it. We're still exploring every single weekend, it feels like.
Well, it's such an interesting business opportunity that you are finding, and that is, consumers are looking for homes, so they're obviously buyers, and most buyers are looking for a home way before they're ever looking for a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
And then you help them find those homes with Easy Home Search, which is a really powerful portal. People can just go in there and start searching in their local area. Then they're going to see all the homes that are available in there. And then they can get connected with a local real estate agent, and you set up that entire ecosystem.
Yeah. And I think what really differentiates the portal, we have the online portal, so our website, and we also have an app. But the nice thing is when someone takes exclusivity, which means they own that county, all that consumer is seeing is that real estate team. So even before they're connected with that person, they're only seeing Jennifer Staats, and they're seeing it over and over and over again. The emails they're receiving, they're seeing that person's name. So by the time they actually click on, they want to schedule a showing or they want information, and they're connected to that team, there's a lot of brand recognition there, right? Where like other portals are like, and who are you and why are you calling me? So it makes it a real large differentiator. It makes it an amazing recruiting tool for a lot of our team leads as well. When they're saying, hey, I own the entire county, that's all these people are going to see when they go to the website. It makes it really powerful.
And so when you mentioned that you're providing exclusivity on a county-wide level, mm-hmm. That's really fascinating because you're able to then immediately connect that consumer with that local single agent simply based on the county where they're searching for properties.
Yeah. So we're not sending that person to 10 different agents, right, and causing a lot of confusion. We're giving it to that one real estate partner. So if it's an individual agent or a team or entire brokerage, we're only sending it to that person. And that's so important because then once they connect with Jennifer Staats, then the emails they're receiving are still just from Jennifer Staats. So there's not a lot of market confusion there.
Which makes a real difference for the consumer experience. Often they're on one of these major portals and very quickly they get inundated with phone calls from 16 real estate agents. Oh, not all at the same moment, but over the course of an hour or so. And I know from many of the real estate agents that I've coached and mentored, they'll get a lead from one of these major portals and immediately dial the consumer and find out that they're the 16th person to call in the last hour.
Yep.
How frustrating is that for a real estate agent when you're doing the very best you can, only to run up against that friction because that third-party portal is, in essence, selling the same consumer over and over again to multiple real estate agents in the same market area? Nobody's having a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, I've been that agent. So I was an agent first. I've been a team lead. And I remember taking some of those calls and connecting with the consumer, and the consumer was so confused. They're like, and who are you? And what are you doing? And then like it would go as far as meeting them at the property, and they still were confused on who I even was. And I'm like, this makes me uncomfortable. They don't know what's going on. Obviously, I'd have to build that rapport, which is really important, but there was a disconnect there, right? And then they would receive multiple different communications from different people. It would be given to lenders and all those things, and they wouldn't know what was going on. And I would have to, I advertise with these people or whatever. So this experience is much different for the consumer and for our partners.
I remember one time my wife Lisa and I were in St. Petersburg. We had a listing, so we represented the seller, but we needed to be there for showings. We had a request to show the property, so we went over there to turn on the lights and unlock the doors and make everything look pretty. And two different real estate agents showed up, both thinking that they were the one agent meeting with one buyer.
Oh, weird.
It was totally confusing for two real estate agents, one buyer, and then, of course, for us, we only got one showing request, which was weird. But it was like, one agent got the showing request from the consumer, made the showing request with us, the listing agent, but this other agent somehow was being told by the consumer, oh, I'll meet you over there. I thought we already set it up. I thought we already told you what time. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock. Oh. And so this second agent shows up at 1 o'clock and he's like frustrated as all get out. And he just immediately leaves before the consumer ever even gets there.
Yeah.
What a terrible experience that these third-party portals are allowing to happen to real estate agents and consumers.
Yeah. I mean, I've been that listing agent too, where I've had an agent where their client on the other end just ghosted them because they didn't have the relationship. They didn't know who this person even was. So I think this is really the way to go moving forward.
I think it sounds so smart. One agent, one team per county. And for most of your people who are going to be searching, they're not necessarily searching in 3 or 4 counties. They've pretty much dialed it into one neighborhood or one city or maybe one zip code. And so the notion that you'd be spread too thin by covering an entire county, probably not so. It's probably a great opportunity for real estate agents.
Mm-hmm. We're noticing, I mean, as you kind of go further east, the counties get smaller. So like that's what we've noticed. My geographical knowledge has gotten really good after, a couple of years of Easy Home Search. But what I'm noticing is that a lot of our partners that are more east tend to want multiple counties. Whereas like if you're looking at like Los Angeles County in California, you're not going to, have teams that want that and Orange County. That's just pretty insane. So it's mostly reasonable. Most of our partners, have a lot of success with, 1 or maybe 2 counties.
And how are you going about creating this marketplace in terms of getting the consumers to actually jump onto your website? Easy Home Search. I mean, it seems like, okay, that sounds like it solves a problem.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways that we're getting consumers on the site. Obviously there's a lot of paid ads that we're doing, and then we're doing a lot of SEO as well. So we're seeing a lot of organic traffic. We do a lot of blogs, that type of thing, getting the consumers on the site. Obviously the site's been going for, quite a few years. So we're seeing a lot of recurring traffic and stuff like that. And then we do a lot of email marketing as well. So we're emailing, people are on the app, they're downloading the app. So they're kind of coming from all over the place at this point.
I think it's fantastic. I'm excited to see how all this unfolds.
Me too.
And so you obviously found that one of the things that is needed in the residential real estate space is, okay, we've got these leads, but not everybody's ready to sign a purchase agreement right away. They're early in the process. We need to nurture these opportunities, which creates a CRM system need.
Yeah. Yeah. And so pretty much everyone on the Easy Home Search team has been in the real estate space, whether it's been mortgage, an agent, an operations manager. So we kind of started with the idea with wanting our Easy Home Search exclusivity partners to have a portal, because we integrate with a bunch of other CRMs. We wanted them to have a portal where they could see all their Easy Home Search leads. So we started with that, but we can't do anything, subpar. And so we built something really amazing, because we just kept seeing in the space that there was such a need for a really strong CRM system. So we launched that in January. We use it at all the companies we run as well. So it's not like we're using something different and telling people to use this other system. We use it across all the different companies. And we integrate. We have an open API with a whole bunch of different companies, and we've got forms and all the things that you'd like in a really expensive CRM.
Well, it's one of the things that I've always taught is that if you're going to have a successful real estate agent business, you actually need to have current clients, 3-month out clients, 6-month out clients, 9, 12, 24 months out. So a lot of these people might be approaching Easy Home Search very early in the process, whereas others are saying, oh, the kids are going to be graduating high school next year. We can downsize. They're going to be going to this school. It'd be fun to be closer to them at that school, or we don't need so much home and yard anymore. So you're both identifying these possible home buyers, but then also creating the back-end system that nurtures them along the way. Tell me a little bit more about that whole nurture cycle. What's that look like for anybody who's using SureSend?
Yeah, so our exclusivity partners, there's kind of like it's twofold, right? So our exclusivity partners, we also nurture their leads with them. So they're still getting e-alerts, they're getting, information on properties from the Easy Home Search system. Then all of our exclusivity partners get a free SureSend account. Then obviously we have users that use SureSend that don't have Easy Home Search. So there's kind of a couple layers there. But in SureSend, we make it fully customizable. So you could be an agent, you can be a loan officer, you could be someone that does, in the home services space, so you can do roofs. You can change all the different pipelines to fit your business. You can change all the different stages. You can change all the messaging. And the nice thing is we have a lot of AI built in. So you can choose to sit there and type out all of your templates and whatever you want to do, and that's fine. But if you want to connect Claude or something like that, we have something that's called an MCP connector with Claude. Game changing for me, I swear. It can help you draft some of your email templates. It can draft some of your automation, so you can have like that nurture sequence that you want to happen. I mean, really, the sky is the limit on what you want to do within your CRM. I have like monthly reporting that goes to the team via Slack because I have it all integrated. So it's really fun to see what we can do, and your CRM doesn't need to cost thousands and thousands of dollars a month.
No, I love that technology is just getting, first off, more readily available and powerful, while secondarily being more affordable and powerful.
Yep.
And it's really important that a serious real estate agent, a serious mortgage lender, a serious title agent, a serious closing office, whether it be escrow or an attorney close, depending on the state, they need better software systems. And I marvel at how many people are out there not necessarily properly investing into the infrastructure of their office. From my point of view, and I've been doing this since 1999, a lot of real estate agents, they have just a very challenging job, but not a business. They don't have anything that they could ever walk away from and sell. They don't have anything that they could get somebody to step right in and take over. But a good CRM system can really solve for that.
It absolutely can. Like I strongly believe that your CRM should really be like the backbone of your entire business, right? Because like the way that we have SureSend built out, you can have automations, things that happen, right? We've got forms you can put on your site, or you can send out. I've seen so many agents like recreate the wheel when they do like, Christmas giveaways or pie giveaways, and it doesn't like integrate. And they're like, okay, I have this list over here. And I'm like, but then what happens? Well, it just goes over here and my VA goes in and like manually does something every once in a while. But then sometimes we forget to do these things. And so I really think like, yes, with a good solid system, and it doesn't have to be anything insane or crazy. You just take what you want to happen and make it easy to replicate. So we have a lot of automations that you can build in there. We do have a pipeline for contracts. A lot of our non-real estate teams use it as just pipelines for sales. So we have an onboarding pipeline, a sales pipeline where you can see those visual deals, and those can even have task lists associated with them too. So you can have like contact level things you want to happen, like, oh, I need to check in with them every 30 days. And then you can have like, okay, if I have a deal, what do I want to happen? I maybe need to send out the contract. I need to get it signed. I need to maybe collect payment. So there's all these steps that you can do as a business owner that then, yes, if you wanted to sell or you wanted to step back, it's there. And someone knows how to do it instead of being, well, it's all in my brain. So after 35 years of being an agent, I'm just going to close the business because no one can do it like I could do it. Like I'm telling you, we can get it like 95% of the way there. Yes, it's not going to be your personality, but we can get a lot of email templates and the systems and things like that built in there to where it doesn't have to be you.
It's so interesting. I've talked to and recruited so many real estate agents over the years who have this sort of, I don't want to say it the wrong way. It's not ego necessarily. It's not pride, but it's this notion that they just really, really care for their clients. They don't want to let any of the pieces go to an assistant. They don't want to let anything get handed off to a team member because nobody's going to do it as well as me. And so I often, when talking with these agents, I say, well, let me ask you a question. If anything terrible were to happen, you got hit by a bus, or you just decide to retire, is any real estate going to sell in your community again? And they're like, well, Kevin, of course, don't be silly. Okay, that means consumers are willing to accept many different levels of service. Yes, you have your level of service, but if you want to walk away from it and receive some residual income, if you want to actually have a child, family member continue on with the business, then you really need to create the systems that assure that what you think is important is getting done. You don't have to be the one doing it. You just need to have a system that can replicate what you do.
Yeah. And the flip side of it too, because I've heard that all the time, right? Like, well, I'm the only one that can do this. I don't want to do it. And that's fine. Like, I'm not saying that, because there's a lot of people in the industry, they think, oh, I need to go hire an assistant. I need to go hire a VA. And maybe the answer is yes, but oftentimes the answer is probably you don't need to do that yet. But I still think a system's good even when it's just you. Because there's so many agents that I've talked to that I'm like, you sell like 100 houses a year. How does your Google My Business have 2 reviews? Well, I just forget to send it out, and so I never do it. And I'm like, okay, I bet you also, when it comes to send Christmas cards at the end of the year, you also don't have all of their addresses documented anywhere, right? Yeah, I don't. You're right. Every time it's Christmas, I'm struggling. I get out Christmas cards on, December 23rd. They're always there late. Then I tell them, hey, with a good solid CRM and a good system, even when it's just you, every time you're selling a property, you have a very simple checklist that says, send out a review, or maybe it's an automation that sends that person that email. Okay, you sent them the review, check. Then you have something that says, send them a gift. Do these steps, right? And it's even just for your own self, for your own consistency. So with those agents that give me pushback on like, well, I don't want anyone to do it. Well, what about your own consistency or your own time? So like, do you have email templates for that? Do you have a system to make it simpler? And I always get pushback on that. I don't have email templates. I don't have time for it. I'm like, okay, you go on 2 listing presentations a week. Yeah. Okay, what's your process for that? Well, the day before I mail them this thing, and I send them this email. And then after I get there, I send them a recap email. Okay. Go to your outgoing emails. Okay. Those are the basis of your email templates. You already have it. And they're like, oh, what? That's so amazing. I'm like, so copy and paste that, put it in SureSend. Now you have your own email template that you can use, hey, Jennifer as a merge field, you can put in the property address, whatever you want. And it's just what you wanted, but now it's saving you time, but then also the consistency, because a lot of times we see agents go like up and down, right? Because they get really busy and then sometimes they drop the ball a little bit because they're really busy. But like with a consistent system, it doesn't always have to be about delegating. It could just be like providing a really amazing customer, service too.
I marvel at how it doesn't happen too often, but it happens way more often than it ever should, that we have a listing, closing dates showing up. They go over on closing day to do the final walkthrough, and the power is off. And I get a phone call from the buyer's agent, and they're like, what's going on? The power's off, the water's turned off, we can't check anything. I said, well, I've sent you multiple emails reminding you that these are the utility company phone numbers and the websites, and here's how somebody can get their utilities signed up. Did you ever send that to the buyer? No, I never did. And did you ever remind the buyer that they need to get the utilities turned on effective the closing date? Oh, and by the way, you want it turned on, transferred without interruption. This is all stuff that my emails automatically send out, but other real estate agents ignore my email, don't send the email to their own consumer, and don't have a system to let their own consumer know how important it is that they have the utilities on day of closing.
I mean, sometimes that's just a poor agent. But it's all, to me, it's all a system, right? And sometimes you just learn when that happens, right? Day of closing, you show up and the power's not on, and you're like, darn it, I need to add that to my checklist. But with like a good CRM, adding that to your checklist is so easy, because you could literally be at that closing and be like, every single time I have a closing moving forward, 7 days out, I'm going to make sure I have utility information, my buyers have done it, blah, 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 I have that information. So then you're not relying on someone else's email. So, and that's what I kind of like about a good solid system, is like, once you start building it, it's so easy to make those like little tweaks or just like little improvements on, hey, this could be better. My customers ask a lot of questions about this, so let me clarify that. I'm sure that email came from somewhere where you're like, man, I really should be giving this out to the other agent X amount of time beforehand. And it probably came from a situation that went awry.
Of course. This is like, I have a philosophy that, and my wife jokes that my laziness serves me incredibly well. So if ever I find that I'm about to do something a second time, and I'll probably have to do it a third time, I automate it.
Yep.
If there's something that I do that I don't ever have to do, I'm either going to eliminate it, I will automate it. And if I can't automate it, I'm going to delegate it. And if I can't delegate it, then okay, that's one of the things that I keep. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of my funnel of like, okay, is it something that I even need to do? Okay. And I just work down. But I have so much stuff automated because I'd rather be out hiking in the woods than worrying about sending that person an email reminder. So for my seller clients, they get a reminder 7 days before closing. Here are all the utility numbers. Be sure to transfer without interruption. And I put that into bold. I say, tell the utility company, transfer without interruption of service. You don't want the AC going off in Florida in the summer. You don't want the water getting turned off for anybody who has a pool home in Florida. Even in Washington State, where I have my teams of agents, you don't need this stuff interrupted. And so the other thing is I send it out 7 days before closing, because if I sent it out the day we go under contract, they'll forget I ever sent it to them.
Yeah.
And they won't even try to get to it yet. Why? Because, well, we still have to get through the inspections. We need to make sure this is actually going to close. Did they get their financing? What's going on here? So 7 days before closing, but then again, 4 days before closing. Hey, just as a reminder, and if you've already done it, just hit reply to this email. Let me know this is all handled. If I don't get a response 3 days before closing, I have a reminder to myself, call them to make sure that the utilities are transferred.
Yeah.
But I don't really ever have to make that phone call because my system already had it in place, so I don't need to.
Love it. I mean, that's how we should all be running our businesses. I don't care what type of business you're in, right? Because first off, we all don't want to work 100 hours a week, I hope, possibly. I mean, I like hanging out with my kids, so I try. And it's truly, to me, it's like also just about streamlining and making it consistent. You know, if I've got a really nice thing that goes out every single time, I know that the transaction or the onboarding of an employee or whatever is going to be solid versus me just winging it. It's all coming out of my brain. Yeah, what happens if I get hit by a bus tomorrow? Like, what's going to happen with what I'm working on? Just so important.
Well, it's interesting that you're talking about SureSend being a CRM solution for industries other than residential real estate. It's so interesting. I have that exact belief. It's like what I do works incredibly well in real estate, but it'll work incredibly well anywhere that a service provider has a service recipient.
Yep.
So if you're in one of those rare businesses that has people who pay you to do things, you probably need a CRM.
You do. And it is so common in any industry to hear people that just don't have it. They're like, we just don't have one. Okay, how do you do business? Oh, I either work off of a spreadsheet or it's in my iPhone. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. But like, how do we grow from here if it's all right there? So yeah, we really are building to be an industry agnostic CRM that really you can use the CRM however it makes sense for your business. I migrated a bunch of different companies to SureSend so far, none of which had anything to do with actual real estate. And so we built our stages, our smart lists, all of our action plans, how it made sense for that specific company, that specific industry. So every account looks a little different. My forms are different, my automations are different. And it just came from how we do business. What does the sales funnel look like? What does the onboarding process look like? What type of marketing do we want to create? And it's amazing because it works, it works all the same.
It's so fascinating that what you're saying hits a memory of mine. When I was a newer real estate agent in Cleveland, I was just really systematized. Growing up, my father was the director of information technology at Kent State University. So we had little pieces of computer cards, old IBM cards were our grocery lists in our house. So I was always around a guy, my dad, who was thinking in terms of systems. And I was probably 3 or 4 or 5 years into my business as a real estate agent in Cleveland. I had lawn signs all over the place. I focused on working on listings, the more scalable side of the business. And I was in my dentist's office. He had just recently purchased the dental practice from my older dentist who was retiring. And he said, "Oh, you're Kevin Cahill. I see your lawn signs all over town. I'd love to talk with you about what you do and how you've grown your business so large." And this was my dentist. I said, "Yeah, let's grab a coffee this week." And so we went and had a wonderful little coffee at a nearby amazing little bakery that I love in Cleveland Heights. And I just talked with him about how his business was so similar to my business because he's just dealing with people with teeth who need to get them cleaned and filled and straightened. I was dealing with consumers who either need to buy a home, sell a home, invest in real estate, whatever it was. But ultimately, this was the same type of thing. Let's identify our ideal people. Let's get them to know who we are. Let's get them to want to do business with them. Let's give them an easy way to engage with us. And then let's have a streamlined system to provide them world-class service.
Yep.
He took what I simply shared with him pretty much on the back of a napkin and grew that dental practice that he had just purchased and really scaled it very quickly. And so I know that anybody who has a business that serves consumers absolutely needs to have a database, because ultimately, when you are ready to move to a different area, you move to Colorado Springs from California, here you are going to a new area. It's just wash, rinse, and repeat. But the business that you're leaving behind, you may as well still get some either earn out income or have it packaged in such a way that somebody could step right in, partner with you, and then take over and you're gone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, it's really important. And I mean, it's any business. It's the same thing. And a lot of us just overthink it. And a lot of us already have, just like your dentist, he already knew what he was doing. He just needed to see it like that, right? Like, okay, this is how your pipeline goes. This is how the sales funnel needs to go. We don't need to overcomplicate it. You just take what you're already good at, put it in there, and now other salespeople can replicate it over and over again. Now we have a way of tracking things, which is really amazing. I mean, I think that's so important. Are you tracking what you're marketing? The marketing dollars you're spending, what's your ROI on it? All of those different things. If you don't have a CRM, I'm pretty sure you can't track a lot of those items.
And my wife, Lisa, who is, in addition to being a commercial real estate broker, she's a certified public accountant and has been since 1993. Whenever one of her accounting clients wanted to sell a business, they were talking very closely with Lisa and her team of CPAs about structuring the exit. Often a piece of real estate, whether it be an office building or a warehouse or a farm, was a huge piece of the business, but overwhelmingly, it was the book of business. And so you think about these small business owners, whether they're a local plumber, somebody who does drywall work, a painter, a real estate agent, a mortgage lender, if they don't have a database, then they really don't have a book of business. And if they don't have a book of business, then they don't really have a business, because a business is sellable.
Yep. And that's in any industry, but I'm hearing that a lot now, right, in the real estate space, where there are so many people that have been doing this for 35, 40 years, and they want to exit, but they don't really have that. And so they're like, well, how can I still make money? How can I generate all these things? And I'm like, you have to put your database together. We can't sell that to someone else unless you have it down. Otherwise, yeah, really the only tangible thing might be if they own an office building or something like that. There's no other way for anyone to take that over. So definitely really important. If you have that in your iPhone, it needs to go somewhere a little bit stronger. And I'm not saying you need to spend thousands of dollars a month on anything. You can really have a really solid CRM for $50 a month and do a lot with it.
Many times in the past, as a managing broker, as an executive with some of these large real estate brokerage brands, I've put together mergers, acquisitions of these companies. And overwhelmingly, we as an acquiring brokerage are looking at how many transactions are you doing? How many real estate agents are there doing these business deals?
Mm-hmm.
What's your business formula? How do you structure all of this? If I approach a brokerage owner and they have a database and it's all built out with automations, workflows, communication steps, something like a Trello board where it automatically just works and things happen on autopilot, I can definitely price that thing out and get them an exit offer. If they don't, it's going to take them about 2 years to build out that same thing in order to properly exit. So if you're listening to this and you don't have it built out yet, you can have this thing probably fully built out in 12 months and sellable another 12 months after that. Once you know, yep, all this system is working, there's hope. You can exit if you'll only build something that I can look at and buy.
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise you can't replicate it. Like there's nothing tangible there, right? Because you sell the company, the agents leave because there's no system outside of your brain. So it's really important, and you don't have to overly complicate everything. That's where everyone get like, well, I need this 50-page like policy and procedure manual. And I'm like, no. Let's start out like kind of small, right? And then you can build from there, because as you start running transactions or you start running, onboarding and offboarding agents through these different systems, you just make those small little tweaks. So then after 12 months, you can have this really solid system that it didn't feel like brain surgery to create. You've got, you're just like doing business like you normally would and tweaking it from there.
Well, I know that, Jennifer, you and I could just talk for hours and have a great conversation about this. I want to ask you one last question, which is, you've been in this space 17 plus years. Obviously, you've been very deep into this. What do you wish you knew 17 years ago that you now know? What would you share with somebody who is just getting started today, that if they knew that one thing, it would really just speed up everything that they're doing, make it easier, more enjoyable, less stressful?
Mm-hmm. I would probably tell like my younger self or like newer people, you don't have to work 80, 90, 100 hours a week to be successful. If you do things a little bit smarter, you can do so much more. So build the systems, create the templates, work on the checklist, even when it's just you, because it's going to make it so much easier to grow your business. So as you get busier, it's going to be easier for you to just do the things. And then once you start growing a business where you can have employees or assistants or all of those things, it's easier to start delegating because you already have the checklist. You already know what to give them.
I think that's just so important. The other thing too is that, you might get really busy over the course of any single day. A week might fly by, but if you simply blocked a little bit of time every week to work on your business rather than deep in your business, a year from now, you're going to see an entirely different and far more enjoyable business.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And I think especially coming from the point of like a brand new licensed agent, we're not taught that. We're just taught you got to grind and go to the showings and make your calls and do all the things, which is true also. But you need to set a little bit of time to figure out like how you want to do your business and how you want to be marketed and how you're going to recreate it. So you're not always just like, flying by the seat of your pants.
It's so interesting. You were intimating this a little bit ago. Whether you're like my dentist friend who is a very competent person inside my mouth, or you're a real estate agent, or you're a local plumber, there's the service that you provide, but you also have to run a marketing business for the service that you provide. Mm-hmm. And so it sounds like with Easy Home Search for real estate agent consumers and real estate agents, but then with SureSend for agents, but really for anybody who is tuning into the notion that it's smart to have a book of business, you're really tackling a lot of important issues in this space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it gives you the power to be able to do so much more with one tool versus having, 12 different tabs open or trying to recreate the wheel. You can do it all in one place. You can market to your consumers. You can talk to your consumers. You can track what your team's doing. It's really powerful.
It's so funny, 12 different tabs open. I can't tell you how many real estate agents that I talk to who use like 14 different software subscriptions to do what they need to do. But mm-hmm. I tell them, I'm like, I bet if you looked around, you'd probably be able to eliminate about 12 or 13 of those 14 systems by just getting one really robust, not too expensive, completely affordable, completely appropriate software solution. If you simply were to say, this is important to me, I need to take the time to look into this. And it sounds to me like they should definitely be exploring SureSend and Easy Home Search. So let's give people a simple way to connect with you. What are the best places that they can go to continue the conversation with you?
Yeah, so if you want to just reach out to me personally, I'm always happy to help people give some feedback on their individual business. It's easy to find me on Instagram Jennifer the Realtor. I've obviously had it for a really long time, so pretty easy to find. And then we do a 14-day free trial on SureSend. So if you just go to suresend.ai, you can start a 14-day free trial. We'll help you onboard, all of those good things. And then if you want to check out Easy Home Search, it's easyhomesearch.com.
Okay, very good. So we'll go over those again. So Instagram, they can find you at Jennifer the Realtor on Instagram. And then we've got suresend.ai and then easyhomesearch.com. This is fantastic. I really think that we're coming into a moment now where real estate agents and really a lot of people who are running their small service businesses are going to be able to take advantage of a lot of this technology that previously you needed something like, some huge HubSpot or something really expensive in order for you to, get these types of tools. But now it's far more within reach.
Absolutely. I mean, I just transferred all of our companies out of HubSpot and into SureSend. And I'm telling you, it was one of our largest bills. And I felt like it took a degree to be able to build it out and figure out how to make it work for us. So that's really what we're trying to, build this against, is a system that makes sense for all companies, that they can just log into that one place and run their business.
I was talking with some people and they were like, well, we looked into Salesforce, but it's so complicated. I'm like, oh my gosh, there are far better solutions out there. So really just great to have this conversation with you, Jennifer Staats. I appreciate you taking the time to jump onto the Realty Funnels podcast and to share what you're working on.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.